Check. Today on First Cup, we're talking about everything. We're talking about a bunch of things. We got some quotes, so stick around. It'll be a good time. We roll in 15. I got my coffee. I don't know. What else do I need? Do I need anything else? I don't think so. All right. I got coffee in your ear. Let's do it in three, two, one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. I don't know why all those things are hard to figure out. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I did get that right? Oh, coffee doesn't taste right. Why doesn't coffee taste right? It is the 16th, isn't it? Why? Yeah, it is. I don't know why I was second guessing myself, but I was. Good morning to Andrew and Daniel and Ray and all of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for joining me for a cup of whatever you've got in your mug. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis is already on his second cup. People ask me, do you actually wait to have your first cup of coffee? I do. I really do. And sometimes you can really tell. Today might be one of those days. I don't know why, but I slept so hard and woke up very abruptly, and my brain is just struggling to put pieces together. So far this morning, I'll figure it out. I always do. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Stacy. Yeah, Stacy's full moon joy to you. I love winter full moons, other than the fact that they always end up happening when it's super cold. But just the shadows and it was when I went to bed last night, it was as light outside from the moon as it is outside right now. I could walk around without any flashlight, shadows. I think it's really cool. Those of you who live in cities, you may not see the moon shadows, and that makes me sad because they're pretty cool. Mark's on his third cup. Kelly says, oh my, I don't wait for my first cup for anyone or anything. It's too dangerous. Stacy's empathizing. I hate that feeling when I feel like I slammed awake. Yes, exactly. Andrew says, I visited the site of All In Weekend last night. The main training and dining hall are phenomenal. It's going to be so awesome. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Andrew and the chef, because the chef is a friend of his. Andrew and the chef took a ride to the facilities to check it out. And from what was reported back, everybody was really happy. It's going to be awesome. Yesterday was Tuesday. Remember when I sat here yesterday and I was like, it's going to be a pretty light day. It's going to be an easy day. And I was like, la-di-da, it's going to be nice and fine. Nope. By the time 8:30 rolled around, I was like, oh, crud. There's a lot to do. But I did a lot of it. And I got a lot done. I went to the orthodontist. Here's a story for you. Here's a story about customer service. So most of you know I've been doing the whole Invisalign thing, and I'm done with the Invisalign system. I guess that's the right word. And the orthodontist made me what they called a permanent retainer. Was supposed to be more durable, etc. Custom fitted. They made a mold of my teeth, and they cast it on that. And long story short, 9 days after getting it, the top tray cracked. And I was like, well, that's not right. So I was driving by and I stopped in and I was like, hey, what do we do? Because these things are $100 a piece. And I didn't want to spend $100. And I definitely didn't want to spend $100 every 2 weeks. And the thing I keep remembering or trying to remember is that the vast majority of people in this practice that come in are children. And everything's systemized. I've shared this before. Okay, go to the blue chair, or today you're in the brown chair, right? Like it's very kid oriented, and that's fine. I don't mind that. It's actually from an instructor standpoint, it's kind of brilliant. They do some things that I find fascinating. But I'm sitting in the chair, and because they're all on autopilot, they don't generally initiate anything by talking to the patient, in this case, me. And so not the dentist, not the doctor, but one of the techs comes over, and she's like looking at my chart, and she's like, I don't know why are you here? I don't even see it. I was like, yeah, because chill out, hold on. And she's like annoyed at me, or at least annoyed at the situation. And so I explain what's going on. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Yeah, it was a handmade process. It's possible that it just didn't go well. It's fine. I'm not upset. I just want to resolve it. And I don't think I've done anything in how I've conducted myself to suggest. Good morning, Brian. That I was upset. Maybe they thought I was upset. I was not upset. I don't think I was conveying that I was upset. And she gets all defensive in such a way that really I think the only reaction I can have is that as she's removing reasons why it's their fault, she's laying the blame with me. Well, if you take them out wrong, yeah, so over the course of the last year when I didn't break or lose any of the others, yeah, this is definitely on me. But of course, the doctor comes over and he takes a look at how it cracked. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, bring in the mold. We'll make another one. In fact, we'll make two. It's on us. Great. That's all I wanted. All I wanted was some understanding. And so this is something that I think the reason I wanted to share this is I think this is something that we all can be guilty of. When someone is telling a story, when someone's sharing something, in this case, this woman, this representative of this business, as I'm sharing my story, her entire context is to relate it to her story. There are really only two ways in which it matters to her. I'm telling a story about how I need something from this business or not. I'm obviously saying that I need something. She thinks highly of this place that she works. She wants to have their back. That's a good employee. But she got defensive when it didn't need to happen. What I was looking for was some kind of collaborative thing, right? What I ended up with was more than I was even asking for. And that's fine. That's great. But I think we all have a tendency to not discount, because we all must remain the hero in our own story and the people that we think highly of must remain prioritized. We, on some level, fundamentally look for ways to push down other people that we think might be attacking them. Does that make sense? Did I articulate that well? I don't know. Do you get a sticker? They've never offered me a sticker. I don't know. Maybe there are stickers. Ray says, working remotely and doing video meetings makes you wonder, is it really coffee in that person's mug? I'm sure for some of them it is not. Daniel says, people in customer service get used to being ranted at. Sometimes that leads to assuming that's what's going to happen every time. And it's really unfortunate. I find that if I have to make a customer service call, it's very rare I don't get everything that I want. Why? How? By just being really nice and asking them what we can do. What can we do about this? You mail something out, you mail out let's say you mail a check to the credit card company, and for whatever reason, the check arrives late. Call up, hey, what can we do about this? This is the first time I've ever been late on a payment. You guys have you've penalized me here, and my rate's gone up, which I understand. I mailed it on time. We all know the post office has been short staffed and a little slow. Can we do something about this? Instead of blah blah blah, I didn't mail my check late. You guys are dumb, right? You do the second one, they're not going to step up for you. Then why? Why would they? You treat people nicely, they'll treat you nicely. It's pretty easy, really simple. Jenny says, on my worst mental health days, I'm guilty of immediately becoming defensive as well. I actually feel empathetic toward others because I know how I feel when I do it to others. So I imagine the other person is also going through something rough. Entirely possible. And that's why I try not to meet them where they're at. I try to kill them with kindness. Easier said than done. But I think it's important. So that was a big chunk of yesterday. What else happened? Went to Costco. I worked from Panera, did a bunch of email. Andrew and I had a great meeting about everything from All In Weekend to the podcast. Justin and I had a great meeting yesterday morning. The digital version of Marshall Journal, issue 2, second issue. Oh, yeah, is out. Paper copies, everybody should be, if they have not already, should get their paper copies soon. I do have one I've got to mail overseas. And if you want to get the third one, you've got until the end of the month to sign up. The web address is in the back. There's even a QR code. Okay. So check it out. It's good stuff. Jenny says, mine came Monday. Yay. We are getting wonderful feedback on this. It's great content. It's a lot of work to put together. I want to shout out everyone who got involved, which that number of people getting involved is getting bigger. So we'll keep doing it. We need a salesperson. If anybody out there knows a salesperson or somebody who wants to become a salesperson, commission sales, selling ads for Marshall Journal magazine and the podcast and all the other things that we could do for advertising space, like events. There's a lot of ad inventory, which means there's a lot of money to be had. I would say podcasts alone, we could probably do. I think selling podcasts alone could net someone a pretty good income for once everything's established, 5 to 10 hours a week. It really could. All right. Quote time. What'd you guys give me? So Frank sent some stuff, and over on the Facebook page, we got something from Daniel and Jenny. So first off, yesterday we were talking about onesies made out of Swiffer, and Jenny posted links to baby onesies on Amazon that are essentially dry mops. I am happy that these things exist. I think if I ran a daycare, they handled babies, there would be a school uniform, and it would be those. Although inevitably one kid's going to well, I guess that's no different than any other clothes. I was thinking when they puke. It's probably the same. But, yeah. Let's start with Frank stuff. Thank you, Frank. And then we'll look at what Daniel dropped in. Oh, pardon me. What am I doing today? Oh, I'm recording an episode. It's a weird week recording an episode today and tomorrow. Very weird, but scheduling things. Um, I got one client call, got to do the books, and just a bunch of other stuff in between. Yeah. All right, next in our look at Black History Month, we observe the birthday of actor LeVar Burton. Today, the former host of Reading Rainbow turns 65, and he's the current host of the LeVar Burton Reads podcast. So the fact that he's 65 means he was pretty young when he was doing Reading Rainbow back in the day, which I think is all right. And let me pop that graphic up. Right there. As long as we are engaged in storytelling that moves the culture forward, it doesn't matter what format it is. Ooh, that you could make that statement about a lot of things. I think you could make that statement about martial arts in some cases. Hopefully, you can say that about what we do. For example, I received even more feedback overnight about the Frank Dukes episode. I'm very thankful that so many people were willing to give it a shot. There, I think the people who have enjoyed it the most are the people who went in skeptical, maybe even cynical, and they came out the other side pretty thankful. It's a good conversation. Did it move the culture forward? Well, it didn't move it back. I don't think it moved it backwards. So let's say yes. Daniel says, I think going back to the ads, I think Martial Arts Radio is the only podcast I listen to with zero ads in it. Some others I donate to the Patreon, just a dollar or two for the no ads version. Fun stuff. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say we have a responsibility, but I think if there's something that you love, you have a responsibility to not ruin it. Maybe you don't have a responsibility to advance it, but at the very least, you should not be wrecking it. And I think when you look at things as that dichotomy, because nothing will ever be neutral. Are you benefiting the thing? Or are you ruining the thing? Love and fear, right? It's kind of similar. I think the vast majority of martial artists are benefiting martial arts because they are, at the very least, bringing students in the door who are experiencing martial arts and are thus more likely to become an instructor later and pass on. But there are people who their actions are ruining martial arts. And you don't get to stand on what you did to justify what you're doing. Just because you benefited something, just because you did the right thing last year or last 10 years, doesn't mean you get to be excused for doing the wrong thing in this moment. And I'm thinking of quite a few people who our community seem to think do no wrong because they've done really good things in the past. And some of the things that they do currently are pretty wrong. Yeah. Chat's funny today. You guys are funny. All right. Next, maturity is a series of shattered illusions. That is a heavy quote. I would completely agree. And it's really sad to have to think of it that way. You know, everything from Santa Claus to, you know, the one that blew my mind. I remember I was probably 14 or 15. The one that blew my mind was I was at karate class, and there were a couple moms, and they were somehow they talked about somebody having a pimple, and I was like, wait, adults get acne too? And they both laughed at me. I assumed right around the time I turned 18, it would magically go away and I would never have to worry about it again. I had through most of my teenage years, acne was pretty rough for me. Yeah, that blew my mind. What else blew my mind? The idea that I thought as you became an adult, people acted differently and more responsibly. And what I learned was no, we just pretend to do that around children. Most of us really don't change that much. Social dynamics don't really advance beyond junior high. That's my girlfriend. No, you broke up. I wanted to be the captain of the team, but you said that mean thing about the coach, right? It's all adulthood is childish actions with bigger consequences. And Kelly says, sometimes I swear I'm still in high school in some situations. I know that feeling. Getting the silent treatment from people, people wanting to essentially copy off your homework, that sort of stuff. And you can kind of circle that back to what I was talking about with the orthodontist. There are so many situations that as adults, we treat other adults like children because so many adults act like children. We're assuming the worst. We're assuming consistency among the group. There's someone I know, and this story continues to blow my mind because I know how painful it was for this person who experienced it. When they told me this story, it made me really sad. I've shared this. I think I've shared this before, but the short version is somebody showed up late to class. This is an adult. This was a not even like a 19-20 year old. This is like a full-blown adult. Like nobody's questioning the adulthood age of this person. This is someone who held a black belt rank in a previous school, and when that school closed, they went to this other school in the area, and it was not their first class, but they showed up late, and I don't even remember why. But the instructor didn't ask why. The instructor just told this person to do push-ups. That doesn't work for me. Here's a suggestion to school owners out there, for instructors. If someone shows up late for class and you punish them, they're associating being late with being punished. So what is the obvious reaction? It's not to make sure they show up on time. It's to not show up late. Meaning, I'm going to be late. I guess I won't go. Sometimes you get stuck in traffic. Sometimes people have to work late at their job. Show up when you can show up. If you show up 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late or 30 minutes late, that's on you. I'm not going to just, if I'm teaching, I'm not letting your late arrival disrupt the class. I'm not prioritizing catching you up. Damn it, didn't get him. Getting you caught up with what we're working on over everyone else, but you can come in. Daniel says, think of the way the average person acts, and then remember that 50% of them are worse than that. Kelly's suggesting everyone just needs to put on their big boy or girl panties and grow up. I don't think most of them can. have some deeper thoughts on society and philosophy and all that I won't share because it's a little deep. It's too long winded. But the short of it is, people are not required to grow up. Thus, they do not. I believe people are like goldfish. They grow to the size of the bowl they're put in. If you give somebody a very easy life, they're not going to do much. Most of us, let's face it, have a pretty easy life compared to what our ancestors faced. So we find things to address. We are hardwired to overcome obstacles. If the obstacles aren't there, we create them. Kelly says, I have students show up late, all flustered, and I tell them it's fine. Life happens. Sure does. All right. Our last quote here from LeVar Burton. Good stuff here, Frank. After many years of training myself, strong emotions are now a trigger for me to look at something. I think that all emotions are triggers for us to grow in our level of consciousness. Emotion is a signal. Emotion's a signal that something is going on. There is something that we are reacting to out of love and fear or fear. This thing's going on. So most of the time, what am I afraid of? That's if you feel a reaction to what's going on, that's usually the best question to ask. What am I afraid of? What is causing me fear? Sometimes we don't want to admit it. I'm afraid that someone will discover I'm not good enough or decide I'm not good enough. I'm afraid someone will stop showing up for me. I'm afraid. It's okay to be afraid. I like this. Stacy says, a friend used to say that emotion was energy in emotion. Emotion. Yeah. Emotion is powerful. There's a lot we can do with that. I want to get to Daniel's comment. So I'll read this. I'm not going to show the video here. I'm going to summarize a bit. There's a retired wrestler named Diamond Dallas Page who has, quote unquote, invented his own style of yoga, DDPY, which uses a lot of the common yoga poses, but introduces something which Dallas calls dynamic resistance. Imagine pushing against an invisible wall or the feeling of moving in the water and try and apply that to your movements, all your muscles, tensing and relaxing as you move with purpose. I have no doubt there's an element of BS to it. The man was a wrestler after all, and they're all a bit carny, but it has helped thousands of people get into decent shape. Do you have any thoughts on dynamic resistance, and can you see any benefit or indeed downside to applying it during martial arts training? So it's isometrics. It's the idea. It's Sanshin. If you know Sanshin Kata, it's that concept. This is not new. If you go back to the 20s, the earliest resistance training was isometrics. I've seen old magazine ads for bodybuilding programs. It wasn't based around weights. It was based around isometrics. There was isometric training. And I think it's incredibly valuable because it not only has some effect, but it helps you get in touch with your body. So the idea of applying this through yoga, yeah, makes all kinds of sense. One of the things that's really cool about that tense and release, isometric, Sanshin, etc., is the better you get at it, the more difficult it gets. right? It's not just one thing. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do a push up. And as that push up becomes easier for me, I have to do more. You could slow the push up down. Hey, wait a second. There's a strength training program that kind of incorporates that. Huh, wonder where that is. Isometrics are great, and they're a wonderful way to build strength through ranges of motion, especially ones that are a little bit difficult to do with resistance training with weights. There are some movements that, let's say you want to, it's a good one. Let's say you want to develop strength with a roundhouse kick. You can sit in a leg extension machine and extend that foot out. That's going to take care of the quad part, sure. But there are a lot of other smaller muscles. How do you know there are small muscles? Do a bunch of kicks very slowly, right? You're going to start feeling things in other places. You're like, oh, what's going on here? One of the problems with weight training is that the big muscles do the work. Whatever's biggest is going to do the work. But when you get that leg out to the side and it's in a different position, there are other things happening. Now, some people might suggest, oh, put on an ankle weight. There are some ranges of motion where that's not only not a good idea, but dangerous. I'm not going to say a roundhouse kick is one of them, but depending on how heavy you're going and what you're doing specifically, it could be. However, isometrics is almost always safe, assuming that your body is in good shape, is not damaged. So to sum that up, yes, if you want to do Diamond Dallas Page yoga, it's probably a good thing. Dennis agrees. I've checked out DDP's program. It's pretty legit, in my humble opinion. Oh, y'all are funny. Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, don't forget, we've got training programs, like the flexibility one, which is free at whistlekick.com. The strength training program is over there too, as well as the speed development and the conditioning program. I have ideas for more programs, but I have a lot of work I got to do first. I like making programs. Actually, I like designing programs. I don't like making them. I just want to do the initial part where I'm like, okay, this is what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And then I want to give it to somebody else who's just going to make it pretty and make all the rest of it. But that hasn't happened yet. We'll get there. Okay. Have a great day. Leave me some stuff to talk about for tomorrow, whether it's on the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcup Jeremy. We do it every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, on YouTube, on Facebook, on today Twitter. Tomorrow will be Twitch. And if you want to support us, we've got the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. We've got the code FirstCup15 to get yourself something at whistlekick.com, like this mug at 15% off. And if you want the whole list, there was some discussion earlier about some things going on the Whistlekick family page, whistlekick.com/family. You got to type it in. I update at least once a week over there with some stuff. So yeah, go check it out. I want to thank all of you for coming by. I hope you have a fantabulous day. See you tomorrow. Take care. Peace.